Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 8 of the Future Ready Librarians podcast series, Leading from the Library. This is a podcast for all librarians wherever you are in your journey. It is filled with amazing guests, important topics, and engaging conversations that will inspire, engage, and support all of us as future ready librarians. I am your host, Shannon McClintock Miller. I am the district teacher librarian at Van Meter Community School in Van Meter, Iowa, and I serve as the Future Ready Librarians leader. I have the pleasure of working within my library and school community and also with others around the country and world through Future Ready Librarian events, conferences, consulting, writing, and more. I am honored to bring these voices and the work of others to our podcast and to all of you. Okay, friends, you're in for a treat today because one of my favorite librarians and favorite friends, Andrea Keller, is joining us for our Future Ready Librarian podcast. And I have wanted her to be on. When she asked me what she wanted to talk about, I, in my head, was like, well, hello, TikTok, because she does such amazing things on there. And so we're going to talk today. I love her topic, be a TokStar librarian. So welcome to our show, Andrea.
Hey, thank you so much. I know I just because I talk so much, Shannon. So I'm like, well, what? So I get to talk about TikTok and social media. Okay, perfect.
Perfect. I know. And it's going to be so fun to hear your tips and to hear kind of your story about how you got started with this too. But first, let's have everybody hear a little bit about where you work and who you work with. You have a very great job too, so I can't wait for people to hear that.
I do. So I'm in Irving and I'm at Barbara Cardwell Career Preparatory Center. So it is a high school and it's not your normal high school. It's just a little bit different. So oh my goodness, what is it? Comprehensive. I was like, what is that word? It's not a comprehensive high school, so we don't have the sports, we don't have the choir and everything. But kids that just need a little bit, kids that need to know that their teacher is there for them. Um, and like it's like Cheers. Everybody knows your name. You're not going to fall through the cracks when you come to Cardwell. It's fantastic. I've had a chance to work in elementary, middle school, and high school, and I absolutely love being at the school. It's so much fun. And because it is a little bit smaller than most high schools, and when I first came over, somebody asked me, they said, "But Andrea, are you going to be bored?" I said, I will absolutely keep myself busy. I will be
Yeah,
just fine.
like I'm going to be just fine.
I'll find the things. I will make the things. We
It
will do
sounds
the
like
things.
such a neat place, and they're so lucky to have you as their librarian there. I think that that's a good fit. That's really
It
neat.
is. Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, today I know they're talking about TikTok and stuff and just the power of social media. And I think the neat thing is how you promote books and programming in the library. And that's something that I might not be on TikTok really, but I love watching and learning from others. And there are so many great things that people have shared from the library. So just start by telling people a little bit about your TikTok and what you do.
So it's funny. I was actually looking back at my time hops. I actually started TikTok right before the pandemic because like my first like real TikTok was my book fair that happened before our our whole world shut down, which is so crazy. But the reason I got on TikTok is because all my kids were there. I was in middle school, and I'm one of those people, I like to try things. I've been on Twitter, now X, for 15 years. I'd like to do what the students are doing. And in my library at the time, I had this beautiful library. It was huge. My current library is also beautiful. But all the kids would go in this back corner and record TikToks. And I'm like, well, I gotta see what it's all about, right? Well, the reason they're in the back corner is not because they're trying to hide. The lighting was perfect. I was like, oh, okay. So that's fantastic. So a lot of my TikToks, I like to share. I like to share videos. I like to share pictures. I like sharing information because if something's working in my school, then it might work somewhere else as well. I also, like you though, Shannon, I watch a ton of TikToks. Um, so I just kind of started there. I watched a whole lot. I saw what my kids are doing, and I was like, oh, well, I can. I don't necessarily do all the dances. I do some dances. I'm not super coordinated. So I tend to tell more stories or use the fun sounds.
Oh, I love that. I know. And I think that if people like, if they're listening and they have never been on TikTok for just for a second, tell about like the fun sounds and like what's it called? Trends or whatever, like
The
thing. Yeah.
trends.
Yeah.
So TikTok is all about the algorithm. So the more you interact with the video, the more videos that are going to be shown that are like that. So there's times where I'm like crying at every military reunion. And there are times that I'm like laughing at every cat video. I have a lot of cat videos right now. So I am a very positive person. So my TikTok, my For You page tends to be all things that are very positive and quotes and terrible dancing and just things that bring me joy. Um, but I also find TikTok absolutely amazing because there's so many artists and so many teachers and so many other librarians that are sharing so much great information to inspire you in like a minute. And let's be real, our brain span for attention span is not very long anymore.
Yeah.
So, um, but I get so much information from other, like I said, other librarians. As I was talking earlier about, I love the contoured librarian, what she's doing. Uh, but you have the next gen librarian and you have Rachel Welch. Like there's so many amazing people that my For You page, I'm like, oh, there's a librarian. So the more you interact with the video, liking it, commenting, sharing, then those types of videos will show up on your feed, your For You page. But some people are like, oh, I don't want TikTok to have all my information. Um, well, if you're on Facebook or X or email or Google, they have your information anyway.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's kind of world we live in right now. So you just have to be very aware of what you're posting, how you're posting. I had a student one time, he said, Miss, I found your TikTok. I said, I am so sorry because I'm old. I'm pretty cringy. It brings me joy, and that's why I do it. I said, he's like, shouldn't you be working? I was like, how's your homework? Anyway, so he left me alone after that. And I've talked to my other students. I'm like, hey, did you see that TikTok? And they're like, Miss, your For You page is different than my For You page because we have different likes, we have different things. And I know when there's those trends going around about like tearing apart the school, it made me super sad because like, oh, TikTok's so bad. Well, that's because that's what those kids were watching and those feeding into what they're watching. So it just goes to show how important it is to talk to students about what you're posting, why you're posting, and how you're posting, um, because people are watching, you know, whether it be good or bad. So that's a
That's
whole lot of random in a whole lot of areas, Shannon.
No, that's a good that those are good points. And I think too, like if people wonder, well, if I don't use TikToks, then how can I make these little videos? Because there are other ways to share things like this too, right? And especially
Absolutely.
I think for we know that that's where our kids are and we know that's what they like.
Exactly. And before I get into what I use, I also want to make sure that whatever I tell you guys or talk about, you always follow your school's
Yes.
protocols. So that is the most important thing. Oh, well, Andrea said, don't, please don't, because I follow your school's protocols, expectations, right? Um, and people screenshot super fast. People are like, oh, that's so, and I always try to be super positive in my videos. I might be having a bad day, but I don't necessarily put that because people are crazy. Like TikTok can go very dark very fast. I do not include students in my TikToks because I know that there's people that do. I just am one that I do not. I take that back. I have some 18-year-olds that I just did a TikTok on for Destination Imagination. I had the okays from their parents, the okay from them is a different type of club. But I tend to not have students in my videos just because people can take screenshots and videos and there's some oogie people out there, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
But you're like, oh, well, I don't want to be on TikTok. So I use an app called CapCut, CapCut. And I do pay like $8 a month so I can have a few extra edits, but you do not have to. It is free. And it has all the things that are trending on TikTok. They're already inside CapCut.
Oh,
So if
wow.
there's a trending, yeah, more than likely. They're it you can get it on a computer. It's kind of clunky. I haven't really used it on the computer, but I have used it on my phone and my iPad. So it's across platforms. But it has like backgrounds and sounds so you can see what's trending. I did one with of course Barbie was really, really popular because you have to think about what the kids are looking at, right? Um, but all of mine tend to also be library related or Girl Scout or pool, like things I'm doing. Like because I also do TikTok to bring me joy. Like I want to share what I'm doing, but why waste our time on sharing things if it doesn't bring us joy too?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Um, so yeah, so I use CapCut a ton. It's super easy editing software. But like, well, I don't understand. It's so easy. It's so easy to splice things. It's so easy to use things that are already ready.
I'm getting
Uh,
that. Sounds amazing.
exactly. It's fantastic. I use CapCut weekly.
Yeah, that's awesome to know. And I love it because there are different ways. Like I use Instagram and like X the most, but I also, share things that are on like our school Facebook and
Hmm.
getting ready to have our literati book fair again and like things
Yeah.
like that I want to I want to be able to share because that does like get people excited and it's a great way to share things that we're doing within our school or books or authors, like all kinds of fun things. So that's a really good tip to know.
Well,
CapCut.
you said about Instagram. Instagram Reels are just TikToks. I mean, they're
Yeah.
that same size and everything. So CapCut can go into an Instagram Reels as well.
Cool.
Um, and also Canva, using Canva and the video features. That's how I make a lot of my first line Fridays for TikTok is in Canva.
Yeah. And you can like select the format
Hmm.
and then you just like put it in there, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So for my first line Fridays, I have in Canva, I use Canva for that. I have two slides, and the first slide has like the video with the first line. The second slide has the video with the book. Play it, and I put that into Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, wherever I want to put it.
Yeah, I'm sure that makes it a little bit easier.
Hmm.
And the nice
Across platforms.
Yeah, and the nice thing too is that you can use like the same template. Like you don't like sometimes I find like the rabbit hole to be like when you're trying to figure out like what you want it to look like or the font that
Exactly.
you're going to use or whatever it might be. And then I get myself like all wrapped up in those details. And so
Right.
more that you can like copy something and use it again and again, like is just
Exactly.
that's
Now,
awesome.
you did say though about like templates and taking time. Any video though that you do on TikTok or in CapCut, it's not like don't be frustrated that takes doesn't take 10 minutes
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
going to take time to make a video.
yeah, yeah.
Nothing's ever fast.
How much time do you think that it takes you to make a video?
So we have my friend and I have started Laugh Stacks, which is a weekly terrible dad joke. We each share three dad jokes and they're absolutely horrific. And we don't laugh. It's so funny. I plan to actually record one in TLA. So I'm excited about that.
Can't
I
wait.
already I talked to my partner. I was like, hey, so because we do it every Wednesday, I'm like, so we gone for a week. He's like, oh, you should do one at your conference. So
Yes.
so for us to record, it's about 15 minutes. For me to splice together that 1 minute video, it takes me about an hour.
Yeah, yeah. It's time consuming.
It's time consuming. It's time consuming. Is it worth it though? For the
It
terrible
is.
dad jokes, for me, it is.
I mean, I just love everything post. So it's so good. I just
They're
love,
so bad. They're so bad.
oh, I just love it. I think it's awesome. So I'm sure too that, if people like I work in a school where we have preschool to 12th grade kids. And so of course we have two, kind of audiences that we serve. And what about people if they work in an elementary? Because I've had that question too before about how to share fun things, with our kids. And also, I think that it can be such an important part too of that conversation we have with them around, digital citizenship and social
Hmm.
media and things like that too.
Exactly. So, I said CapCut and Canva are the best way to go because that's still going to give you that TikTok feel. And
Yep.
then just use those videos in like wherever you're promoting to your kids because you're right. It is a conversation. When I was in middle school, I've had those conversations. You're not 13 yet. I
Yeah.
know that you think you know how to use social media, and that's fantastic. Let's talk about why you should use it and how you should use it because I know you're going to be on it. Um, but remember that even though that funny picture of you maybe not doing the best thing as a 12-year-old, people take screenshots. People
Yes.
keep it. It comes back, right? So do the things you're going to do. Just try to be a good human being.
Yeah, just try to make, and it's great, I think, for them to have those teachable moments like that where we can
Hmm.
still like have the fun of showing them a fun video or something that they might think, is like really hip and cool, but also using it as a good teachable moment, I think is really,
Exactly.
yeah.
And what's so good too is that sometimes they look at me like, "Oh, Miss Keller, you're so old. You don't understand." I'm like, "Hold on. I got stories for you." And having like those real conversations with that there are crazy people out there and there are cool people out there. I had a video that I got tagged in. My friend sent me a message through Facebook. She goes, "Have you seen this video?" And I was like, "Oh, this is spam." She got hacked. And then she
Yeah.
texts me. She goes, "Andrew," she goes, "Have you seen this video?" I was like, What are you talking about?" And so I said, "Did you really send me this video?" And then I got tagged on a couple of Facebook posts. I had never seen this video. They had Googled middle school librarian, and this person had used my image, like, because I guess when you Google middle school librarian, because I Google myself all the time, I talk to the kids about that. And if you Google middle school librarian, I'm one of like the second or third pictures that comes up. So this
Ah,
guy had used my picture in one of his TikToks.
for
And
like,
so I met,
that's
and
me.
right, I was like, "Oh, that is me." So I messaged him. I was like, "Hey, one, I love this. This is hilarious." He's like, "Oh my gosh, I love librarians. I'm so glad you found this." He goes, "But he lived in Florida, like not even near me. Like
Yeah.
he just happened to find my picture." And so now he put that on YouTube, so this way I could share that with kids. Say, "Hey, it's important to be online, but look, be careful what you share online because you might just show up in people's
Yeah,
things. You don't even realize
exactly.
it."
Isn't that
Yeah,
interesting?
right.
That's I mean, that is like a whole thing. But I think it's great, like that you are showing kids like fun and healthy and just exciting and engaging ways to use TikTok. And you are definitely a TokStar librarian, my friend.
Oh, you're so fabulous.
Oh, I love it. I know. And tell people where they can find you on TikTok or on X too.
So on TikTok and X, I'm AK Busy Bee because that's what I tend to be. On Instagram, I have two because why have one? So on Instagram, where I put all my things as AK Busy Bee, but librarian related is Bee in the Bookends.
I love it. And I love your little sign back there. Say, be kind.
I know, right?
Okay. Yeah. That's sweet. You're one of the best. Well, Andrea, thank you so much, my friend, for joining us and for sharing all about your fun TikTok love and just keep making great videos, okay, girl? Because I love them.
Thanks, friend.
As always, thank you to all of our listeners for joining us for this episode of the Future Ready Librarian podcast series, Leading from the Library. And a very special thank you to our sponsors, Follett. You make a difference in our libraries, schools, and within our lives and that of our students every day. We appreciate everything you do. I hope you can take what you learned in today's podcast and put it to use within your practice as a future ready librarian. If I can support you in any way, please feel free to reach out to me on X or Instagram at Shannon M. Miller or to my email at shannonmcclintockmiller@gmail.com. I am always happy to help. Until next time, friends, keep finding ways to lead within and from your library.